Hey, I'll give you $2 for that guy's ears if you'll cut 'em off.
$2? Why, that's a buccaneer.
Some of you may know that I spent most of my career in aerospace. One thing you learn in aerospace is that all funds for each fiscal year must be committed by the end of the fiscal year. If they aren't, the government entity in question obviously didn't need as much money as they thought they did, and they won't be given as much money for the next fiscal year. That creates a mad dash to spend money around the end of the fiscal year. Some very unusual things sometimes get purchased. One thing that can get purchased is studies. They take little advanced preparation, and their scope can be easily increased or decreased to match the funds available. They were almost made for year-end funds commitment. They're always a good idea because virtually no new system can be built without a study establishing the need. Studies have also been contracted which appear intended to establish some system or piece of equipment. It's a bad idea. Studies typically result in a paper volume, a series of view graphs summarizing the study, and other forms, such as a briefing using view graphs. These view graphs allow the study to be briefed to people who don't have time or who don't want to read the paper volume. It may be that no one ever reads the paper volume, and it gets filed away against the day that someone asked if a study on the subject was ever conducted. This video presents the briefing of view graphs of such a study.
I want to thank our military sponsors for funding an effort that a less open-minded organization might have rejected without due consideration. This is the configuration we usually think of when we think of helicopters. What might be gained by using a low rotor configuration? Obviously, with the rotor next to the ground, considerable ground effect should be gained. It may be possible for helicopters to operate under conditions of higher density altitude. As an added bonus, the low rotor configuration may make mowing the airport unnecessary. How do you keep the rotor from contacting the ground? There may be answers. Helicopter rotors are normally expected to support a load beneath the rotor. Here, the load is above the rotor. Any solution to these issues almost certainly requires a modification of some sort to the rotor itself. This is what we might get if we simply moved the rotor to the bottom without additional modification. One might add wheels to the tip of the rotor blades, keeping them from contacting the surface beneath the blades and providing a smooth opportunity for the rotor to come up to speed. But this means the surface must be smooth, a hard surface such as concrete or asphalt, or perhaps very even soil. But this adds mass to the end of the rotor, making it harder to get the rotor up to speed. There will also be drag, and the blades must be stronger to carry the added load. Again, the load on the rotor is inverted from the normal approach. It will take longer to get the rotor up to speed, and longer for it to spin down due to the added mass. Adding skids rather than wheels is another possible approach. Properly designed, the skids will weigh less, but potentially have more friction at the point of ground contact. It may also be that the skids could be designed to contribute to lift, but many of the issues with wheels will still exist, and a specially prepared landing area will no doubt be required. All these things suggest that simply moving the rotor to the bottom of the helicopter will not have the desired effect, and simply make it more complex, heavier, and more expensive. But there may yet be another approach which could have possible positive effects. A wider skid will allow a full-size rotor to be used. Modifications to the rotor would still be needed to compensate for the geometry. Don't you wish you had one of these in your backyard? Because the skid is wider, but must still support the same weight as a conventional skid, it would likely require additional bracing and would need to be made of more robust material. This would increase weight and drag, probably offsetting any gain in performance from ground effect. However, the advantages gained in mowing grass would still be retained. In fact, Since the helicopter is now relatively mobile while resting on the ground, a helicopter so equipped could possibly replace all the mowing machines on an airport. Here are our conclusions and recommendations. A helicopter equipped this way could replace both helicopters and mowers. The overall cost would be reduced.